All right.
Hi, Connor.
Hi, Trenton. Welcome to Switching Reels.
Your best place for music reviews.
No, no, this is possibly the worst place for music reviews.
I think that's correct. We need
Actually,
another podcast for that.
that's not entirely true.
Why?
The soundtrack on this movie
Oh, it's
is
gorgeous.
phenomenal.
Yeah, no, that's very true. It was a fantastic soundtrack. What did we watch?
But before we get too far, we watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly today, which you had never seen.
I had never seen One Up. I'll one up the never seen it. I thought this was in the same genre as Kill Bill. I had no idea that this was a Western.
You are weirdly close in certain ways.
Yeah, because isn't it the same director?
No. So Sergio Leone was 1960s, 1970s director for the most part. I think he did some stuff in the 80s as well. He was a part of the spaghetti Western genre.
Yeah.
Which was known for a few things that were pretty heavy in this. But one of the big things is that they stole from samurai films.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where this is actually the first, or the last film in a trilogy, all of which follow Clint Eastwood's character in this film.
Oh, he died.
No, he didn't.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah. The main character.
Is that the good?
Yeah.
Got you.
So they all follow that character. The first one was almost an exact ripoff of a samurai film called Yojimbo, which we will get to at like 46.
Oh, nice. So relatively soon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But they borrowed a ton from Westerns. A lot of the famous Westerns they borrowed from samurai films. A lot of the famous samurai films before that were taking, not stealing as much, but they were taking some of the trappings of Westerns back when John Ford was directing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you have the American Westerns, which Akira Kurosawa, in large part, just absolutely adored. And he would put things from there in his samurai films. And then you had the Italian Westerns that came much later during the Western Revival that were stealing from samurai films.
That's fantastic.
When the Italian spaghetti Western thing happened, Americans started stealing from that as well. So things like the Magnificent Seven. We're going to get to Seven Samurai soon, which is...
I've heard that one's really nice.
I love Seven Samurai, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the reason I say you're relatively close is Tarantino is vocal about the fact that he absolutely loves this movie. On top of that, Kill Bill Volume 1 was a samurai film. Volume 2 was a Western.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, that makes me a little bit happier.
So, yeah.
But I had no idea what I was signing up for tonight. Again, as I have a great way of doing that.
Yeah, so you are actually relatively close.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
With thinking that it's the same as
really
Kill Bill.
Funny, actually. So good, awesome. That makes.
But
me
you
happy.
did tell me that you didn't think that this was a Western.
No,
which I find bizarre.
Yeah, I had no clue. All of the hints throughout my 27 years of existence did not lead me to the point that I thought that The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and the Ugly was a Western. No clue.
That's
that was a
wild
good movie.
To me. Yeah.
No, that was good.
Yeah. As far as recommendations, who are we recommending this to?
Most people. Profanity's low. Violence. There is violence, but there's not blood. This isn't a gory movie. Lots of death, but Western death, where you don't really... I guess there's some blood. Like, there's multiple scenes that has blood in it, but...
Yeah. Want to know something wild? This movie's rated R.
I can see it. Except for R at its time.
Yeah.
I thought this, my understanding of 60s and 70s movies is R is bordering on the explicit material that you pay for in the internet, and that's basically it. So that's astounding. That's crazy, actually.
Yeah, I still find it wild that like I don't know a time period where I would be like, oh yeah, this should be R.
Yeah.
The closest I could think would be like in the 50s era when they had approved and not approved as the only rating system.
Exactly.
And this one would be not approved and therefore not sent to anyone because, yeah.
And like, see, I can see it being R in today's standards because of the amount of death and some profanity.
Yeah.
But it's right on the edge. Like, you take out a couple things and it's PG-13.
Honestly, I recommend this to anyone 13 and up.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's no reason that you can't watch it.
Yeah.
At that age.
Yeah.
So, they're trying to think of any sensitive topics in this besides lots of killing, some domestic abuse, but not like it's just abuse.
Yeah. And again, it's not something where I would be like, oh yeah,
this torture.
Yeah, but like probably the mildest torture that you could put into a film.
It's really not bad. So yeah, most things, especially if you want to see a Western. I didn't know that I wanted to see a Western, and I did.
Yeah.
So that was very pleasant.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite Western of all time.
Yeah, I would imagine. Like it's a very, very good one, and I do enjoy it.
And I like Westerns. Like it's not like, oh, this is my favorite Western, and also like I just don't like them most of the time.
I don't seek them out, so that's me. That's my favorite Western.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen one. Just kidding. Do we call what's that one that is a parody on Westerns that everyone really likes? Oh, I can't remember.
I don't know.
I think it had. I can't remember.
I don't know a lot of Western parodies. I mean,
Blazing Saddles.
Oh, okay.
That one was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I have seen that one.
I love Blazing Saddles as well.
So anyway, Not Blazing Saddles is an actual Western.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the plot here pretty shortly.
And I will say one of the reasons that I would recommend this as widely as I would. I think it is equal parts Western, drama, and comedy. Like it is, and it's none of those are fighting with each other. They all complement each other.
They all go really well. Absolutely.
And so I think that this is something that if you enjoy films at all and you are just looking for a fun thing to watch, this is absolutely,
This is absolutely a good one. Awesome. Does it deserve its place on the list?
If you're asking me, absolutely.
Yeah, because this is 10, I believe.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. I'd say it's 10. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. It is better. It makes me feel better than than some of the Lord of the Rings, even. So, I totally agree.
Those are your comfort movies.
Those are my comfort movies. Yeah, no. But it carries you through. I'm going to talk more about here in the ratings. Some of the things I don't like.
Yeah.
But it was a nice overall movie.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
It all.
I would put it at 10 probably.
For enjoyment? I was like, for enjoyment? Never mind.
No. But yeah, I would put it at 10 on the list, with the exception of if we have enough films that I think stack up at the top of the list, I could see this one being pushed down a little bit for me, just on personal rating. But do I have a problem with it being at 10? Absolutely not.
I agree. It's not insulting that it's at 10.
Yeah. So ratings.
Yes. So for me, I'd put my enjoyment at a solid 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
I found it really enjoyable. Technical, I'll put it. I want to give it a 3 out of spite, but I'm gonna give it a 4. No, I'm saying never mind. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
I thoroughly disliked the lack of voice syncing. That threw me very often. And there were a couple other, like some of the practical effects were very cool looking, but were like weirdly choreographed to me with the cannons and things.
Yeah.
But anything that was like gunfight and stuff was really fun. They had a lot of really cool shots.
Yeah.
And that last scene, awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We'll probably talk about the last scene a little bit more.
We absolutely will here in a second.
For me, I would say enjoyment is like probably a 9.
Yeah.
I would put it a little bit higher, at like a 7, or like it's a light 7 to a strong 7 to a light 8.
Cool.
And the reason I say that is I think all of the decisions, like the artistic decisions for how to do things technically, were just executed exactly
Very
how they
well.
should have been.
So well.
ADR is hard.
Yeah.
Especially when there are certain parts when you can see that they messed up the lines between what was said in the shot and what was actually added later.
Yep, for the voiceover.
So, for me, that's something where I go, it's unavoidable, because part of this is these are Italian-made films that were supposed to be made for American audiences as well as Italian audiences.
Oh, wait, so was it spoken in Italian?
No.
Okay, cool.
They filmed it, and then they added the Italian and American dubs.
Got you.
Afterwards.
Interesting strategy, Cotton.
I think knowing that going in, I'm like, okay, I can forgive a little bit of this. But again, like the only thing that I can complain about is the ADR.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
And even the practical effects, I go like, yeah, there's maybe a little bit too much choreography, but maybe some of it is I'm just numb to it at this point.
No, absolutely.
I'm,
as a generic consumer.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
You as the movie critic appreciating it a little bit more and being fine with it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a part of film language at this point.
No, that makes total sense.
Especially you watch some of the really great war epics, and like they're just flawlessly executed, but they do have like those explosions and then the guys like falling over near the explosion.
Yes. Actually, I find the explosion and then people jumping endearing.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it's a look at the cute little movie kind of thing.
Okay.
So that doesn't bug me. It's just the ADR.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
So this is where we're going to get into some deeper spoilers. We have spoiled very little so far.
Yeah, you did a good
job. I would recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, please go watch it.
Yes.
Also, like and subscribe if you would like. And comment. Tell us what we get wrong.
Yes, all the time, please.
Please add to the conversation, because that's part of the reason we're doing this.
Absolutely.
It's a conversation between us, but it's also a conversation that I would love to see more of.
I agree.
So, with that,
summary.
Let's summarize this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Who wants to go first?
I think I can go first.
You can go first.
All right. So we follow two guys as their relationship evolves in some pretty drastic ways throughout the film, while they are searching for $200,000 worth of gold. 200,000. Yes. Meanwhile, there is the bad guy who is also searching for this gold, taking a completely different route that is mostly unconnected with them, but we kind of get to see how their paths collide throughout the film.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, the good, the bad, the ugly follows the good and the ugly as they try and hunt down $200,000 worth of gold, which is also being hunted down by the bad. And then at the end, the bad dies, and the good and the ugly get half of it. Also, it's a giant meta-analysis on game theory at every moment possible. All of the duels are game theory. All of the different moments where you are withholding information from your partner, in this case, is game theory. The bad played the game the best until he didn't at the end. That was a really bad decision on his part. And the good and the ugly made life much harder for themselves than they should have, in my opinion.
I mean, I would say that this is just a, it kind of follows the same trappings as Grimdark, except I don't know what it's referred to when it's not fantasy. But like it's got a pretty like dog eat dog sort of view of humanity. So yeah, the game theory thing, but also like you don't get places in this by helping other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Not
like
really.
Like the reason that the good is because we watch him do all of these very small acts of kindness to people
and that's the best he can do.
Right, yeah. And that's the best we see from anyone, right? Like the bad guy, yeah, he's doing bad stuff, but for the most part it's not that
egregious,
drastically different from what we're seeing from the good guy and the ugly guy.
Yeah.
I mean, from here on out, I would be fine with referring to them as Tuco and Angel Eyes.
Oh, cool. What's the other guy?
He's the man with no name. That's literally what the trilogy is called. It's the Man with No Name trilogy. We'll run into the same thing with Yojimbo.
Okay. That's fine. He'll be the good then.
All right. So initial reactions, I think we've kind of already covered that.
Yes.
But I guess standout scenes or performances.
Yeah. So, okay. Initial reactions, I actually did like it. I thought it set up all the different characters really well. I got a little confused at who the ugly was because I didn't think that they introduced him exceptionally well. I didn't, for like his introduction scene, I didn't understand that he was Mexican. And that threw me for the rest of the movie. Not rest of the movie, for the next half hour of the movie. Yeah. Until I was like, Connor, who's that? Well, he's the ugly. Great. Awesome.
So going into it, after having seen it, I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times, and knowing that that's the same guy, I can say I love the way that they did that, but it may have been something where they just didn't catch it because they're like, oh yeah, we've been living this for however long it took them to film. So yeah, I could definitely see that as something being overlooked for first-time watchers.
Totally.
But yeah, like 2nd through 8th time, it's great. Like watching him jump out of that plate glass with a chicken leg in one hand and a gun in the other is just fantastic.
No, it's so good. The standoutest scene was the last duel. Like, yes, that
is possibly the coolest duel ever put to screen.
I absolutely agree. I thought it was long at first, but then I realized that like my physiological reaction was excitement, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is getting a nice like reaction out of me, and then like it is engrossing. Like you start realizing that whoever draws first does die, no matter what. Like, and you start like working through it in your brain, like how is this going to work out? Yeah. And you're able to kind of predict the outcome by the end of the duel because of how they film it. I think like it was really, really well done.
I'll be honest, it doesn't matter how many times I watch this, I always think that he's going to shoot Angel Eyes and then shoot Tuco.
Oh, nice. Because he's fast enough. Yeah. You see that the entire time. That guy is just lightning quick. Yeah. He is so fast. Yeah. And Tuco's good. Yeah. But he's not that good.
Did I screw up his name? I've been watching Breaking Bad in my free time, so.
Tuco.
Okay.
Yeah, that was totally Tuco.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Not Puco. Pretty sure it's Tuco.
Yeah. All right.
Check us, everybody.
But yeah, so standout performances. I mean, here's the thing. Clint Eastwood in any Western he kills it.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
And it's hard for me to critique it really, though, because most of it is just him staring really aggressively.
Yeah.
And saying things in a monotone voice. But it's
true.
So good.
It's so good. No, and
it's like really Samuel L. Jackson being angry. Right?
Exactly. Like, it's just what he does.
Yeah.
It's what you come here for. It's what you pay for admission.
Like, yeah. But yeah, I absolutely adore his performance. If there's anyone that I do have an issue with the performance of, it's Tuco.
Yeah.
And I'm torn because on one hand, I love that his sort of over-the-topness adds to the character.
Absolutely does.
But also, it feels like over-the-top acting.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do with that.
I feel like they added a lot of plot points around Tuco as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that his brother needed to be head of the monastery.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like...
That was a great moment, though.
It was a really good moment.
Like, giving
him some sort of, like, a little bit of humanity was, like, exceptionally needed for the character.
Right, yeah.
Because you only see him as being this awful person. Like, he's worse than the bad in the first part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not from his actions, just because you don't like him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's horribly unlikable.
Yes.
And I think that is really what they're referring to as him being ugly, right? Because I don't think that he's a particularly unattractive man.
Yeah.
It's just his
personality and being is not attractive.
Yeah, it's not fun to be around.
No, exactly. And you do like being around the good. Generally, you'll be like, okay, he probably won't kill you. He may not be exceptionally nice to you, but you'll be fine. Yeah. Which is really nice.
And the bad is also like okay. So they did a thing with him as a villain that I love to see done with villains, which is he's wonderfully charismatic and like almost I can't think of another word than sweet.
Yeah, entirely.
But you have like this underlying sense of foreboding with him
at all times. The Frodo mentions in the first movie, like I feel like certain of the enemy would look fair and feel fouler.
Yeah.
And I completely like that's the perfect representation. I feel like he's also a really good representation of lawful evil. In that like he follows his own code, and it's always self-serving.
Yeah. Like we see that from the very first interactions that he has where he talks about I always see the job through
after I'm paid.
He
does.
He kills both sides of the
coin.
Yeah.
Shoots them both.
Yep. As far as performances as well, the drunk captain.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
I was really sad that he died. But I did love him. He was a good performance. I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably my favorite like side character performance in this movie.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Because he's just you get the desperation from him.
Yeah, and why he's a drunk. Like he hates being in the position that he has to go and send men to die, and would really rather be court-martialed than like see more people die. Really on either side, but for sure on his side.
Yeah, absolutely. And just it is a wonderful performance, and it also I think just adds a lot to that scene. Like there is more said in the 10-ish minutes that we are with them about warfare and its effect on people
and the feeling on both sides
than we see in certain war movies.
Yeah, absolutely, completely.
Like it has more to say in that space of time than there are in other movies that spend their entire runtime on it.
Absolutely agree.
It's very, very crazy to me that they could do that.
That was a really, really nice addition.
Not to mention the fact that I would 100% watch a war epic directed by Sergio Leone that kind of follows this
Commander.
Well, not even just the commander, but like just follows them at this front.
Yeah.
You know, fighting over a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would watch that so
very
much.
quickly. Absolutely, that would be fantastic.
But the other thing, sorry, just switching gears here. As far as standout scenes, this movie's full of them from the beginning to the end.
Completely agree.
My only issue with the hanging scenes where he's shooting the rope or the rope before
the rope.
Yeah. before Tuco gets hanged is that there aren't enough of them.
Yeah.
That is my only issue with that.
I completely agree. Like, they could have gone for a little bit longer. Absolutely. Yeah. Standout scene that annoyed me was when Tuco was looking for the freaking grave, and you spend 3 minutes with the same repeating music. Very good music, but it grates on you a little bit. I understand it's there to show how like desperate the effort is to go and try and find this thing. Yeah. But I don't like it.
Fair enough. I do really enjoy that, even how long it is, because it just feels, for me, it feels less like desperation and more just sort of ecstasy of like, I'm
here,
has finally made it.
Yes.
And there's desperation, but it doesn't feel like dread sort of desperation. It's desperation of where is the actual grave, because I'm finally here. I've arrived.
Yes.
And it's just, I really love the scene. I understand why someone would hate it. If my wife were to watch that scene, I'm not even sure she would get through it.
No.
Like,
I don't think mine either. They're cut from similar blocks.
But yeah, as far as like standout scenes throughout the movie that go, though, it's just there are so many, and there are so many like little callbacks all the way through that feel almost like a thread.
Yeah.
You know, you've got like the rope is a big one.
Constant.
Like it's what starts out their relationship. It's what ends it the first time.
Yep.
It's what brings them back together.
Yep.
And like I love the way that the noose is used through this.
Yeah.
Not to mention the scene where he shoots the 3 guys that are coming through the door.
Yep.
And Tuco comes in and then starts talking about like how his method differs.
Exactly.
He shoots the legs off of the chair.
Uh-huh.
I love that scene.
Yeah,
and
no, it's really good.
I don't know why, beyond it's just really well written.
There are 2 kinds of spurs. Those that come in through the door and those that come in through the window. I love and that's another one of the threads I love. I love there are 2 types of people.
Yeah.
That is generally from Tuco's side, but then ends with the good, saying it at the end.
Yeah.
Which is, I love that a
lot. Also, this is the first time I noticed, but he talks about having enough bullets for everyone that Angel Eyes brings along.
Yep.
He uses that exact number of bullets throughout the rest of the movie, with the exception of the last bullet, which is fired from a different gun.
Oh, that's true. He took it out of the revolver though and put it into the rifle.
No. He emptied the revolver. He did. He emptied the revolver.
Wait, how?
He shot
3 in town.
He had 3 bullets left when they left.
Yep.
He shoots the guy, and he shoots his hat twice. Angel Eyes.
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Totally right.
It's something that I had never noticed before. Ammo. But yeah. But again.
Wait, Tuco doesn't know that though, which is so funny.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, themes. I think we've already kind of started to move into. We've started to move into what I wouldn't call themes. I'd say more motifs.
Yeah, exactly. Recurring thingamabobs.
That's what motifs are from now on.
Recurring thingamabobs.
Yeah. You know, honestly, as much as I love this film, I can't say it has a lot to say thematically as like a through line.
I feel like there's a couple things because we already mentioned like the good is only barely good. Like there's a very large emphasis on this period of time was an awful time.
Yeah.
Like Civil War, bad. Just it was no one was good here. The best one that we can find still wasn't that good of a person.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a really cool theme to see all the way through. And I think the emphasis on war in this one was interesting. It was. Saw both good and bad on both the Yankees and on the Confederacy side.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't anything.
The Union and the Confederacy.
Nah, it's the Yankees now. The New York Yankees.
I'm gonna let you continue.
Thanks, appreciate it. So it really emphasizes, hey, war is bad. This is not a good time for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we do see a lot of the indirect effects of war through a good portion of the movie.
There's a little bit of corruption as well. Like even the good is like technically coercing the system whenever he's working with Tuco.
Absolutely.
Like that wasn't, and the bad does as well whenever he's extorting prisoners.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
but I guess we don't see a lot of that from anyone else.
No.
Right? Like these are the characters we're following. But we don't see a lot of the themes. If I were to look at it as a theme about the way the world is or anything like that, or even the way the world should be, I don't think that I would look at our main characters.
No.
But yeah, you're right. They absolutely work things in their favor constantly in ways that are often less than ethical.
At least unethical, if not downright just immorally bad.
Just wrong. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean the morality line is really interesting in this.
Completely agree.
But I don't. Again, I wouldn't go so far as to say that that's a theme. You know, like we don't.
It's a motif. It comes up multiple times. I would agree. Like I don't think he's trying to say anything.
Yeah.
About our current day and age.
Yeah.
Current as of 50 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Still a great film though. Like
it's so good.
Like honestly, this is one of those films where I go, you know what? I don't care if you have anything to say.
Yeah. This is good.
It just tells an interesting story.
It does. It's straightforward and also just like little bits of like it's the campaign is very simple. You're gonna go find some treasure. And then you have a lot of other stuff come up. Like it's the campaign is go find some treasure during a civil war against a morally corrupt person and with a morally corrupt person.
Also, you're slightly morally corrupt.
And you don't ever have enough bullets. I guess you do, but you have to make sure that there are enough bullets.
Yeah. But yeah, I do. Like war affects a lot of things through this, but again, I can't say that they were taking a hard look at warfare.
Just an observation. It's just setting.
Yeah. Totally really well done setting, though.
Very well done setting.
Technical things that stand out to you.
So I've already talked about the things that I don't like.
Yeah.
Practical effects were great. I think they blew up a bridge.
Almost certainly.
Like, that was cool.
I
loved that.
I don't know. Obviously, I'm not going to know like the film backstory of every movie we watch, and I don't know this one.
So sad. And we gotta Google afterwards. Did they blow up a bridge?
I 100% believe that they blew up a bridge.
I think so too. Like, that was a really good effect.
The only question is whether it was just super well composited, or if it actually was blown up in that
bridge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, it was really well done. I was looking at the like shockwaves off the water and the like dust rising after the explosion. So there's I feel like something crazy happened. It was very cool. I liked it a lot. And I don't know that pistol physics is I don't think anyone can be that good with a pistol, technically, especially whenever you have people with rifles missing. But
I don't know. It's some of that is just spaghetti western.
Yes, the magic
which
of
is
bullets.
like, I don't know. It's the thing that I like instead of things that are cheesy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't like 80s cheese, but like spaghetti westerns are just like, they're not. They run by their own logic, and I love it.
Yes.
It doesn't
really fun.
It doesn't fit with reality or even other movies necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah, just wonderful.
Yeah.
Technical things for me, the cinematography in this is just amazing, really, and so is the blocking.
Yes.
Like even that final battle, I was still looking at things and being like picking out where everybody was standing, along with the way that the shot was framed, where you could see the hills in the background.
Exactly. And it was gorgeous.
Yeah. And honestly, there aren't a whole lot of images in this film that I would be like, you know what, this couldn't be painted.
Yes, I completely agree, especially, in so many different scenes. Like,
even with like some of the scenes where I would go, okay, that's a little bit less attractive than others, like when they're going through the desert and they do some terrifying practical effects to Clint Eastwood's face.
So spooky. His face was melting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
that's
how
why realistic it's rated R.
any of it is.
That's why it's rated R. And his melting cooked face in the desert is the only reason.
But yeah, I mean, just even that stuff, I go, yeah, I don't know how realistic that is. Agreed. For it to happen to a person, because it looks like his face is actually boiling. Yes. But if someone were to paint it, I wouldn't be like, oh, you did a bad job.
Exactly. No, I completely agree.
So yeah, technical things besides that, we've talked about performances. We've talked about the weird ADR. Yep. We've touched on the soundtrack several times. I don't think we need to go more in depth than to say good. It is.
You've heard it forever. Like, it's everywhere. Sound bites of.
And, well, you've heard pieces of it. And if you haven't heard the full soundtrack, please go listen to it, because it's so good.
It's really, really good. So one other, just, the Bad isn't a good dueler, because the position that he chose on that final field was so disadvantageous compared to the other two. Like, the angle at which he would have to swivel to be able to shoot at the other one was a good 145 degrees. The other two probably had about a 45 degree angle to get to both people. And you see that whenever you look at his eyes and he's looking back and forth, he completely loses line of sight of one of them while he's looking at the other. Whereas both the good and the ugly are able to see both people at the same time. Anyway, so he deserved to die just because of that. If you're going to put yourself into that situation.
But then he wouldn't have fallen in the grave.
Yes, absolutely.
And that would have been a problem.
It would have been a problem. Yes, I completely agree.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly where he had to be. But if he, under the assumption that he wanted to stay alive and not stay shot, he did it badly.
Fair enough.
I'm good now.
All right. Yeah. So unless you have anything else to say, I think I'm about ready to wrap up.
I think so too.
Have you seen Forrest Gump, which is next week's?
No, I know that Run Forrest Runs in there. Is Box of Chocolates in this one?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I know those two lines, and I kind of know who Forrest Gump looks like. And I know there's also running.
All right. So you know more about Forrest Gump than you knew about Good, Bad, and
I know
Ugly.
so much more about Forrest Gump. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like it was if we tried to go and do a ratio between what I knew about the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly going into it and what I know about Forrest Gump, and you switch that ratio, it would have destroyed a computer because it would be dividing by 0.
All right.
How do we end this?
You're a dirty son of a bitch.